Alright guys, this has been way too long. If you see the date on here, 2018, February of 2018. Man, that's how long I've been having this Hondata, man. Hondata S300. I did make a video a while back about me actually buying the Hondata. The reason why I never put it on is because with this, you're going to kill your OBD2 port and it's not going to be able to pass inspection. In Texas, at least, it has to be 25 years or older in order to go ahead and skip that portion. So I'm going to just have to find someone and just pay for a couple of years. I got the full ECU with the Hondata installed because I didn't have an ECU. And so it's all nice and fresh, super clean with the clear cover. Man, this is clean, bro. The Hondata clear ECU cover with the Hondata S300. The cutout. That's who I bought it from. HA Motorsports P28 ECU, freshly painted. And so going to be installing this today on the Prelude. If you guys saw my previous video there, I did put the push to start inside of the Prelude, and I had to get rid of the ignition. Well, I didn't have to, but I wanted to get rid of the ignition and so get rid of the security feature that you have to use the OEM key in order to start the car. Since I got rid of that, now I have to go ahead and change the ECU so it doesn't care about reading for the code for the key, and I should just be able to start it on up. But of course the ECU is going to be behind here. I'm going to have to just take this panel off, move the carpet on back, take the cover, the kick panel for the ECU out, and then we'll get it on out and just swap it on over. So I got the ECU out, completely unplugged it. Also, I will have to use a jumper harness from the OBD2 to the OBD1 connector harness for the ECU. Here's the kick panel. The ECU is bolted onto there. There it is right there. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna try to reuse this or what, but let me go ahead and take a look and see. Okay, so I took a look and there's no way that this ECU is going to bolt up to this kick tray. So I'm just going to use the jumper harness. This is OBD2A to OBD1. Purchased this from HA Motorsports as well. We'll see what I can do with this. You know, probably just set it like a little two-step or something. You know, not really mess with anything as of right now. This motor does need a lot of work. So, you know, it's about 200,000 miles on it. It's nothing to be abusing as of now. The ECU is all plugged up in there. So I'm going to plug up the USB onto here. And then I'm going to have to plug the battery back up, see if we could get going. At least put the H22 tune, the base mat onto the ECU, and at least get this Prelude started so it could be moved and stuff. I have the S Manager on up here. I got the computer hooked up through the USB. Gonna put in a new calibration. I already actually did it, but I'm just showing you guys if you can even see onto here. So I'm just throwing a new calibration, stock H22A. Click OK, and then edit. I'm sorry, online, upload, and the key is on, so it's already powered up. So that has been uploaded and now should be able to start the Prelude. Key is still on. Put the brake down. Let's see. Still not starting, so gotta see what we could do about this. Okay, so I was able to get the Prelude started. What I actually had to do was unplug the immobilizer little box, and then the gray and the baby blue wire. Had to connect those together. So I am gonna have to solder it, but as of right now, I got it running with the S300. It's running a little rough right now, a little bit shaky. And we're gonna see. Gotta check engine light. Gonna just try to work on this. So would be the box down here that this plugs into. You're not going to have this green wire. That's actually for my radio. Plugs up in there. Take that box out, unplug it. Just go and put some tape on it, and then just tape it together as one and just put that out the way. That's how you will be able to start your car if you have a different ECU. So when you look under, everything for the most part looks stock. So now that the Hondata is in the car, if you guys heard it run, it's misfiring on like one of the cylinders. I believe it's #1 cylinder. Thing that I did not take into account, that I did not know, I didn't research about, is that I do have to change the distributor to an OBD1 distributor. In this case, I'm going to be getting rid of the external coil, so it is going to make it look a little bit cleaner. It's going to have an internal coil. And the other thing that I will need is a harness, because the reason why it's misfiring is because now it's using an OBD1 ECU, and those do not have a crank sensor that is located over there. If you guys seen like the oil pump, there is a crank sensor, a sensor that just goes on the crank itself. So you're moving that sensor onto the distributor. On OBD1 ECUs, it tells TDC through the distributor itself. Now let me show you the parts that is going to be needed for this conversion. The first thing that's going to be needed is a wire harness. I bought this wire harness from Wire. This wire harness is going to convert from that sensor, the crank sensor, to the distributor, so you won't have any more misfiring. Right here is the distributor that I got from Rock Auto. If you guys want to see the part number right there, DST 60,000. But inside of here, obviously, here is the new distributor. There it is right there. I don't remember if these are brand new or remanufactured, but either way, it's going to work with this Honda OBD1 distributor. And it already has the cap and rotor attached onto there. So now I'm on the driver's side. If you guys know where the crank position sensor is at, right down below, but if you follow, there's a wire that you could see. I don't know if you guys could see it, but there's the wire right there. Then it runs up, and then you see a plug on the back end here. I already unplugged it right there. It's a little bit of white right there. And here's the other end of the plug that is right over here. I know the camera is not like focusing on it. So I'm gonna go underneath the car, plug in the wire harness to that plug that's over here. More than likely it's gonna just run underneath the intake up to the distributor, some of the plugs right there, and then we'll see how it all connects. I don't know how good you guys can see there, but in the bottom, if you see that newer looking gray plug, it's connected to the crank sensor plug into the harness. And then I ran the wire all the way underneath, and even underneath that intake. Now over here by the thermostat housing, I ran the wire up here all the way up to here. So now this in here, the bigger plug is going to go into the new distributor, and this right here is going to go into the existing plug in order to convert the signal for the new distributor here. Whatever you want to do on this, you could use an internal or external coil. What you got to do with this harness, if I'm going with the internal coil, which I am, all I have to do is put like a 30 or 25 amp fuse right here in the plug that went into the coil. Right there you can see there's like two thick wires next to each other, a yellow and then a black and yellow. That's the one you're going to put together. You know, there's actually only 3 wires, so you're going to do the ones that are next to each other. That you see there's like an empty slot in this one. You're going to do the one above it right there. So that's going to allow me to use the internal coil. You could just tape that on up and just tuck it on in. everything is installed. The distributor is completely plugged in, as you guys can see. The adapter harness to the actual plugs right there. Put on the bolts. It's still a little bit loose, just so I could change the timing for the motor. And then also, if you guys saw me, I took off a little plate right there that was used for the external coil for the actual base of it. I'm gonna bring the car on up here, and so I could jump start it because the battery is dead right now. So that should take care of the misfire, and it should be running smooth. So the car is running fine, it's hitting all cylinders, but the RPMs keep jumping up and down when it's idling here. I don't know if that's because it's just trying to warm up. It seems like that's what it is. It's holding more idle at this time. I'm pretty sure I just got to bring out the laptop and work on this Hondata a little bit. I mean, this is good news right here, you know. I want to make sure that the car starts up fine and it can idle and that I could drive it. The injectors on here are the OBD2 injectors. I believe they're high impedance injectors. They're 290. So I'm just going to be going through here and just trying to set up the engine as best as I can. I'm not a professional or anything like that, you know. I'm just someone who bought the Hondata, did a little bit of research on how to do some things. I'm not saying I know everything, so if you guys know better than me, comment down below on what I should be doing here. Make some changes, whatever. Right here, gonna go to the new calibration and just check some of the other things, such as the rev limit. You can set it for gear by gear if you have that. Rev limit here, I'm going to be setting that to about 77. And then here, gonna be a disable knock sensor. Actually, something pretty cool is the air conditioning. It says switch off AC when RPM is over 5,000 RPM. Didn't know you could do that. Switch off AC when throttle is more than 35%, which also I didn't know you could do that. So that's pretty cool. Oh, and that was in miscellaneous. Go and check launch control disabled. I'm gonna have to go ahead and put that hoe on. And I'm probably just gonna set that to about probably start off with like 3,000 RPMs. And I am later going to delete the IACV. That's the idle air control valve right here. You could use that. Disable IAC error. Definitely going to be using that in the future, probably soon if it's easy to adjust. And really, I believe we're ready to just upload this into the ECU, into the Hondata. So let me go ahead and just turn on the key here. Okay, there we go. It's on now. The little arrow is here, and I could update the changes to the ECU that I just made here. There it goes. It's already been updated. I guess we're going to go ahead and do a cold start. Okay, that's a smooth start there. I'm not giving it no gas. Now to set timing onto the H22 with the Hondata, I already pulled out the little cover here. This is where, instead of looking at the crank, you're going to be looking at the flywheel to set the timing on these motors, H22 and H23. I'm not sure if the F20 is also like that. The other thing is I loosened the bolts here for the distributor because that's how you're going to move, retard, and advance the timing. So that is good to go. I also have the Hondata plugged up, ready to go here. And the car is real dirty with pollen. I'm gonna start it, and I'm gonna go up here where it says online on the upper section, and then it says set timing, but right now the car is not on, so it's grayed out. So let me turn it on real quick. Of course, with the push to start. So that is good. So now where it says online, set timing for the H22, we're gonna have it on 16 degrees. Gonna leave this window open. Gonna go get the timing light. Try to time the ignition distributor, and then once I have that set, gonna tighten down the distributor and then close this window, and timing should be set from the Hondata to the engine. Base timing is set to 16 degrees. It probably can go to 17 degrees. This is the aftermarket distributor. I heard that the OEM ones are better to adjust, but I mean, it did go to 16 degrees without an issue. So that is all good to go. Now right here with the Hondata, the window right here, so now I could close it. Everything is set to 16 degrees. And base timing is set. Alright guys, so you guys saw me install the Hondata S300 P28 ECU into a 5th gen Honda Prelude. Now honestly, I can't find too much information on converting a 5th gen Prelude with the Hondata. So hopefully this information is pretty useful for you guys. But the car is still not fully converted. It's enough to start the car, move the car if needing, but it still needs some adjustments. The next thing I need to do is to delete the IABs, those intake air butterflies. Not all cars have them. Now if you want to utilize them, get a P72 ECU and that will go ahead and work with those butterflies. But basically on the biggest part of the intake, let's just say this is the inside of the intake, half of it you're going to have 4 little holes. Those are always open. The other 4 holes have butterflies that open kind of like a throttle body. At a certain RPM, those butterflies open on up, allowing more air into the engine and more power, kind of like VTEC if you would. So I need to completely disable those butterflies and take them on out, and that will help properly utilize the air in the engine. The second thing I need to do is I need to get a wideband O2 sensor along with the gauge, just to make sure the whole air and fuel ratio is at a proper mixture, and I can start making some adjustments on the computer, and that will allow me to be able to drive the car without any issues, making sure the air fuel ratio is good at all times. You know, just because the car starts and it runs does not mean that it's running perfectly. I need to make sure that everything is in its limits, making sure it's not too lean or running too rich. So after I do those things, the car should be able to drive, you know, long distance, and I'll feel confident in the car. Hopefully you guys take down this information for the 5th gen Honda Prelude. Maybe you might have you know, a 97 on newer Honda, and this will help you as well, because many things that I'm doing onto this Prelude you're going to do onto your Civic, your Accord, Integra, whatever it may be. You know, take this information and just transfer it to that car. Again, just to cover on what I did, I installed the new ECU with the Hondata, got a conversion jumper harness for the ECU, and then got the Rywire TDC sensor into the OBD1 distributor, and then of course had to get an OBD1 distributor, installed that with the internal coil, and so now everything is able to run. Of course, you're going to see more videos on this, on me deleting those IABs, wideband O2 sensor, and making some adjustments on the Hondata. You know, we're definitely going to have some fun with the Hondata, so make sure you guys are subscribed. If you have any comments, drop them down below in the comment section. All my information, social media information is on there as well. And as always guys, I'm going to catch you on the next one. Alright.